Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only in the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new episode. I was actually out of town last weekend, so I'm back in the studio this week. Brand new show. Great. Lots of stuff we'll talk about today. Just all kind of good things going on, crazy things going on, a little bit of slowdown. We have the brand new market numbers in here for the Grand Strand area. Interesting, right? We saw another month of decline in terms of month-over-month sales. We'll talk about that, kind of what that means. We're still up slightly from the same month last year, but it does go back to what we talked about for past couple of shows where we've seen a slight decline in terms of properties actually selling. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about also some real-time data. We've seen some real-time data that shows this is one of the best Decembers we've had in terms of properties going under contract, a lot of new pending deals. We'll talk about that. Interest rates have been all over the place. They were back up and they were back down. The new variant has kind of helped that a little bit where rates are back down a little bit. We'll talk about where interest rates are right now. That's driving a lot of things in terms of what people are doing, if they're on the fence or off the fence. We'll also talk about two reasons why the holidays is one of the best times to sell your home. These are very important and something that we see a lot, and it really breaks down the psychological aspect of it. And also one big thing that we noticed just kind of out of not really error, but people thinking that they didn't want to sell during the holidays because they thought they had to move in the holidays. And so right now, it may be one of the best times to show your house, but the great news is you're not going to have to close until after the year. And so we'll talk about what's going on with that as well. A lot of other cool things we'll talk about. We're seeing some issues with appraisal still. We've been working that out, getting a lot of money saved for our clients. We'll talk about what's happening there. We'll talk about really what to look for in the early 2022 marketplace, which is crazy. Also, we have some amazing success stories. Our team's been absolutely crushing it. Why most agents, most real estate companies are taking off and just kind of taking the holidays off. Our team has been doubling down like we do every year and getting massive results. We'll talk about the success stories. And also, we're hiring for 2022. We've ramped up marketing everywhere. You've probably seen us, heard us, added new people on the radio. And so we're looking to add to our team. If anybody out there is looking to level up their year and their career in 2022, we'll talk about that on today's show as well.
All right, a lot of stuff to get to. If you just tuned in for the very first time and you're not sure who you're listening to or what you're listening to, it's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show, hosted by, of course, Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan has been called the real estate guru. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, Endorsements magazine, other national publications. You've maybe seen him on TV with NBC and also with Fox and Friends with Morning Show. You've heard the personal endorsements here by Sean Hannity, also Barbara Corcoran, Gary LeVox. Put them all together, it's just totally unprecedented. Now, that's one thing. But the other thing is that Blake has trademark systems for both home sellers and home buyers. They are trademarked, so we can't give you all the details, but more than happy every week to tell you the most important part of that system.
Yes, and that's really the whole why and the DNA behind why we do this show. And I just had a Facebook memory this morning, Dave, that it was me in here 9 years ago doing the show, which is crazy. I think we're over 10 years doing the show and have saved a lot of people from a lot of heartache and a lot of headaches. But here's the thing. People make the same mistake over and over and over and over. It doesn't matter how sharp they are, how fluent they are. I was talking to a friend of mine today on Facebook, and it's somebody who we know very well. But here's the mistake that people make. They make this huge mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same. And it could not be further from the truth. Just like any doctor, any lawyer, right? If you're charged with a crime that you did not commit, the last thing you want is some part-time attorney who's tried a few cases. This individual I was talking to earlier, a good friend of mine, was comparing us and saying, hey, look, I have a friend of mine who does real estate part-time who will do a low commission. And I'm like, dude, like you have a high-end house. The last thing you want to do is put that up there with some part-time agent who offers a low amount, right? And if I'm looking once again back in that court scenario, charged with a crime I didn't commit, do I want the cheapest attorney who just does a few cases here and there that's a friend of mine? Absolutely not, right? I want the absolute best, most aggressive attorney who's able to get the result that I want on the outcome. Why would I ever allow myself to accept anything less when I'm dealing with, for most people, their largest asset or one of the largest assets they know? And so here's the deal. The single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller comes down to one thing only, period. It's the agent that you choose. It's not your wall color, right? It's not the grass quality. It has to do with how does your agent handle the variables that have to be handled to get to the result that you want on the back end. And so specifically when you're selling a property, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, when you're selling a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, guess what that does? That puts money in your pocket, the property gets sold. If anything's handled incorrectly, aka they drop the ball at any point. And this could be anything from, does the agent actually answer the telephone when a buyer inquires on your property? As we all know, most agents don't answer the telephone at all. How do we know that? We test it and we call all agents all day, every day. Most of you probably have as well, right? Especially if they're a part-time agent, right? How much marketing do you do? What's the quality of the marketing? How much money they spend in marketing? What are the quality of photos like? What is the order of the photos they put online? Are the first 11 photos outside the house, meaning that all buyers just keep looking online? There's so many pieces of this puzzle that has to be handled the right things in the right order, and it really makes or breaks a sale on the back end. And so what I did, I said, look, there's got to be a better way, right? There's got to be a way that's proven, repeatable, that we can create the same scenario every single time that gets us a predictable result. And that's the same thing. I looked at what people did outside of real estate and said, hey, how can we bring that back into real estate? And so we set out, developed the guaranteed sold system, the only proven system to sell them twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. On the flip side, right, there's 100 plus variables for buyers out there. And so if each one's handled correctly, it saves you money to get the property. If anything's handled incorrectly, aka the agent drops the ball when they're trying to buy your house, which we see happen every day, right? It costs you the house you want, or it costs you a lot more money when you buy it. And so we developed a system for buyers out there. It's called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Get you priority access, foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as obviously, also negotiation through home inspection to get you to that closing table successfully. And so both of those, though, are designed to do one thing and one thing only. They give you a competitive advantage. And just like the example earlier with my friend, I said, look, man, here's the deal. There's a certain amount of money that has to be spent on your behalf to get a high-end home, the exposure that it needs. And so you have a lot of part-time agents out there that just do the bare minimum. We call it just putting it to the Walmart parking lot. I told this story before on the show. I think it's one of the better ways to really explain what's happening right now, because the marketplace is hot, right? There's less inventory. And here's the thing, I've said this over and over, is that you don't necessarily need an agent to sell your home, period, right? Just being real and open with you. You don't need an agent at all. You can sell your house today. You can take a for sale sign, put a for sale sign out there, take some pictures on your cell phone, maybe put it online, and you'll get a buyer. But the question you have to ask yourself is, am I getting my property sold for the most amount possible and putting the most amount of possible money in my pocket? You may save a commission, but it doesn't mean you put the most amount of money in your pocket. And that's the question you have to look at, is understanding what's my net income look like on the back end. If somebody can drive that price up, get more money and more buyers and more exposure, and find somebody who's willing to pay more, does that have a big benefit? Absolutely. And so the best scenario I've been able to find has to do with the classic car. And I've said this before, but it's really, really good right now in terms of what's happening. Let's say I have a classic Corvette, right? Classic Corvette has a couple hundred miles on it, been garage kept, pristine condition. I can take that classic Corvette today and trailer it over to Walmart parking lot. I can put it in the Walmart parking lot, put a sign on it, and guess what's going to happen? I can sell that Corvette today to somebody, probably for a decent price. But does that mean I got the most amount of money for that Corvette possible? We both know that's absolutely not. And so what if I took the same classic Corvette, put it every Corvette enthusiast website, every Corvette enthusiast group online, every Corvette enthusiast magazine, and I got massive, massive exposure, aka more eyeballs, and it drove up the amount of buyers that are willing to pay a premium for that Corvette, and then they bid against each other. Think that would make a big difference? Absolutely. And it's the same exact thing that we do with your home sale in getting it the exposure that it deserves. What most agents do is they put your house in the Walmart parking lot. And that Walmart parking lot is the MLS, the multiple listing service. And that's pretty much all most agents do. They have no psychology understanding of how the pictures need to be, of how to get the right exposure, or they don't have buyers in waiting willing to pay a premium for your property. And that's what our guaranteed sold system does. And so if you want to know more about that, really understand the economics and the business model where we spend over 6 figures a month driving traffic for our clients and getting them the right exposure they need, that's something that's untouchable from even one full-time agent on their own, or a part-time agent especially. So if you want to know more about that, reach out, call me. It's the whole reason to do this show, 843-808-SOLD. Take a quick break. I'll be right back here in a second.
Here with my trusted friend in the real estate market, Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group, and with the market the way it is today. So what are you doing differently?
With the market being the way it is today, we're doing things totally different. We outspend the average agent here in our marketplace 100 to 1. We bring in national and international buyers that bring more buyers to our homes, that generate more offers, and in many cases, multiple offers that get our clients top dollar.
Makes sense. So what does that mean for someone who lists today?
That means that anyone that's thinking about listing today, if they list with an average agent, they can cost themselves $10, $20, $30, $40,000 of their hard-earned equity because their property did not get the exposure that they deserve. They must call a top agent with the right marketing plan to get them the exposure they need.
All right, as always, thanks for the insight. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corbett. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sales, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in a time crunch, you can agree to sell it by a certain date, they capture a home, or even rent it.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time,
Use our proven marketing plan to sell it for the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Got the brand new market numbers in, and they're very, very interesting to say the least. It's been something to watch. We've seen some ups and downs the past couple months, and we're seeing a trend here, though. We're actually back to a little bit of trend where right now we're on the second full month of decline, and really we've seen about 5 months of decline with 1 month in between. September, it bumped up from 662 to 680. But here's the deal. October 2021, back down to 662. November, obviously last month, we don't have this month's numbers yet until next month. November, 640 home sales. So it's down from the peak of this year in June at 797. Again, we know we're seasonal here, but it is down from the previous 2 months. And so that's just something to watch. The good news is we're up 4.7% from the same time last year. But if you look at, I like to look at month versus month a lot. If you go back 2 or 3 months ago, the sales are up 20+% from the same time last year. And so we have seen a little bit of softening. A lot of it has to do with inventory. We talk about that, kind of what's happening right now. I do have some good news, though. We do watch the daily numbers in terms of how many new properties go into contract, and they're up significantly for December. So that's great news for January. We'll talk about that here in a second. The one thing everybody cares about, though, is price. Like what's going on with price, what's happening here in terms of price. Median price is really kind of been flat the last couple months. It declined a little bit. It's been kind of ironic. Right now, median price for a single family home, which is pretty much what most people have, that's a single family residence, that's a resale, is $320,000. It's up 16.4% from the same month last year, where back in November it was $275,000. But here's an interesting piece. Right now, it's been flat for about 5-6 months. So we peaked out this year right at $325,000 in July and August. So, for example, June was $315,000, July was $324,900, August $325,000, September $325,000, and it dropped down in October $325,000. Right now we're at $320,000. Now, what that shows me, 3 straight months of decline in price. Now, that isn't really necessarily anything that's a major crash, but it is saying, hey, look, we're hitting some of the ceiling in terms of affordability. If you go back to my previous shows on Facebook and YouTube, you can see we talked about, hey, we're probably seeing a little bit of a ceiling here, and you may see prices soften a little bit. We know that because it's always supply and demand based. We always know that the lagging indicator is always going to be price later on. And so that's just interesting enough. The other piece that's really kind of a little worrisome is average price. Average price is also down. Again, and for the really, let's see, the third month in a row here. Right now, it's down to $392,527. It was $405,689. Month before that was $415. So in September, it's about $415, depending on the different property type, at $416, and all the way down right now to $392,527. Again, some of that has to do with inventory, some has to do with buyer fatigue, and a lot has to do with just we may hit a little bit of a ceiling here in terms of what can the market sustain. And what are people able to do? So if I'm a seller and I'm watching 3 straight months of decline, I'm probably thinking, hey, I may want to cash some chips out. If it's investment property, if I'm able to have something that, I've been thinking about selling, because the one thing you don't want to do is chase that market down. Again, I don't foresee anything major unless it has something to do with the economy as a whole. Everything's kind of uncertain right now in terms of government influence. But ideally, we are still in a major home shortage nationally, which is great news, which is what does help out a little bit. And that's also what's driving the challenge right now with inventory. Inventory right now is at 1.2 months of inventory. That's 50.0% from the same time last year. And so last year, way more houses for sale. There's basically half the amount of houses for sale right now than there was last year. I think we'll probably see this drop down a little more just because I'm watching real-time numbers and we're hitting some of the lowest residential numbers we've seen in a very long time. And so very, very interesting enough to say the least in that terms. We've also seen a decline in showings across the entire MLS as a whole. So, for example, in October, there was 7.1 showings per listing in the entire MLS. Last month, November, it dropped down to 6.3. And so what that means, less buyer traffic overall. But I do think we may see a little bit of continued bounce in terms of sales as well. Look at condos. Condo sales have been pretty good overall in terms of how they've been performing. They've been lagging homes. Condo sales up 27.4% last month versus same month last year. And the good news is we're on a 3-month climb right now in terms of month versus month. Month before that, 689. Month before that was 663. And so we are seeing that return back a little bit for condos. And that also has to do with affordability, right? Right now, the average sale price for condos on the Grand Strand is a new record, which is great. $227,953, up 19.3% from the same time last year. And then also median price, guess what? A brand new record here on the Grand Strand for condos at $195,000 even. That's up 25.8% from the same time last year. And what's driving that is what we saw, again, affordability. Last year, the market shot up like crazy. Prices jumped up like crazy in single families. So people that were looking to buy single family homes could no longer afford that. Then they moved to condos, which are more affordable. And therefore, that's why we're seeing that run on condos here. That's also a lagging indicator as well. Inventory hit a new low in inventory right now for condos. It's also super low, 0.7 months of inventory, down 81.1% from the same time last year. And so 81.1% less condos for sale in the same time last year. And so that's interesting to say at least. That's a great thing in terms of buyers out there looking right now. Buyer traffic is pretty steady, 8.0 showings per condo right now. So it's great news overall. One thing I wanted to share though, it's been interesting. If you go back to since we started the COVID lockdowns in early 2020, we started tracking real-time data. Those numbers I just shared with you are closed sales. So those are closed sales in November. You got to think though, they went under contract 30 to 60 days prior to that in terms of that deal actually closing. So I like to look at buyer behavior now so I can help my clients make better decisions based on real-time data. And so we've been tracking the average 7 days, how many properties go under contract in our entire MLS. For the last 7 days, 589 properties under contract for $202 million, which is really good for December. Because if you remember a few months ago, we used to do this every week. It got down in some cases to the 400s. Really, the peak of summertime, it got up to 800. But anything over 200 million in any 7-day period is very good for us. That's great news for sellers out there. Here's the crazy number 2 as well. The amount of single-family homes for sale in Horry County right now is 458. If you remember, just about a month ago, we were right at 600. Some of that has to do with the holidays, which is also why it's a very good time to put your house in the market during the holidays. I'll talk about 2 other reasons why in a minute, because there's just less competition. Right now, only 458 single-family homes, which is one of the lowest we've seen it in a very long time. And so that's just availability, which means you have more opportunity as a home seller because there's way more buyers and there's less inventory than there has been for the past few months. And so if you know more about that and really how to break that data down, we're more than happy to share this. I subscribe to every data source on the planet. I can keep you updated with what's going on in your neighborhood. Just reach out, go to blakesloan.com or call us, and we're more than happy to keep you updated, free and no hassle on what's happening in your neighborhood and get you updated prices that are actually accurate versus a lot of the online sites online. One thing that's been helping this a little bit, interest rates. They jumped back up a few shows ago. Remember last week's show, we were at 3.28%. A couple weeks before that, 3.19. And just really a few months ago, we're down at 2.93. Right now, we're at 3.21%, which is great news there. A lot of news come out that the new variant has really helped out interest rates a lot in terms of what's happening, which is very good. So right now, for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, 3.21%. A 15-year fixed rate mortgage, 2.55%. A 30-year FHA loan right now, 2.90%. A jumbo loan, 3.12%. And a 5-year adjustable rate mortgage right now, 3.41%. So awesome news out there. What that means is it's a little extra adrenaline shot to the marketplace for anyone that's been, kind of on the shoulder, anybody that's been on the fence. And so if you want to know more about that, and here's the thing about real estate, especially in a seasonal market, it all comes down to timing. And so you want to make sure that you do the right things at the right time, in the right order, so we can get you the most amount of money for your home. So want to know more about that, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. Take a quick break and be right back with a hot buyer alert.
listeners, investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home.
Totally true, Clay. And here in Myrtle Beach, that agent is our friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. If you need to sell a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about his guarantee.
Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know when your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with 2 mortgages.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 5-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group.
And tune into Blake's shows Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. That's a brand new commercial there from Clay and Buck. Very, very glad to have that. We had a hybrid commercial a few weeks ago, but very, very happy to have their endorsement. Very, very proud to be in business with them. We were just talking recently, doing this show over 10 years. Been in a relationship, a business relationship with Sean Hannity now for 10 plus years. And very, very excited to have them who filled the big shoes of Rush Limbaugh, which is very, very cool to have that. So very, very excited about that as well. One thing we have here, the brand new hot buyers alert, something we've been doing for a very, very long time in terms of, hey, look, we got real buyers who we've had before you ever think about selling that are looking to buy, and we need inventory. We just talked about some of the lowest inventory of all time. Right now, my team and I are working with a ridiculous amount of home buyers looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area from Brunswick County all the way down past Georgetown, all the way inland as well, from anywhere from $150,000 to $4 million. And if you know anyone looking to sell, reach out, call us, 843-808-SOLD. Now, weekly buyer alert, every week we like to share our real-time data of how many actual real buyers we have. I used to do this a lot with Dave, and we'll always talk about, share that number. And so the number this week, real-time data, 65,354 active buyers that we have on my website that we spend a tremendous amount of money to get, that we're able to, guess what we can do? Match them up to your property. Remember earlier I gave the car example about how can we find more buyers who are willing to pay a premium for that Corvette and drive the price of the Corvette up. It's the same exact thing that we do with your house, because we outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. Yes, 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint based on our business model. We have a team of about 30 plus people in terms of buyers agents and buyers experts. We have a listing team. We have inside sales, outside sales. We have a team of specialists. And because of that, I can afford to spend more money to acquire a client based on our conversion as well as the overall business model in general. And so what that means for you is you have more exposure from buyers, not just locally, but national, international as well. And right now we're at 65,354 active buyers. And just a few of them right now on the site. I have Everett Hams from Cheyenne, Wyoming. There you go, a Wyoming one. I got Susan from Worcester, Massachusetts. I got Autumn from Little River, South Carolina. I got David Dennis from Smyrna, Georgia. I got Millard from Lexington, North Carolina. I got Pat from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Brandon from Greensboro. I got Nancy from Colorado Springs, Colorado. And so I got Derby, Kansas right here, which is pretty cool. And Smyrna, Tennessee. The reality is we spend massive amounts of money online. We have software that can take any new listing, especially your house, reverse engineer the most likely buyer for that property based on their previous search pattern. So not only do we have 65,354 active buyers, we have technology that can match your house up to the most likely buyer for that property based on what they're looking for, just like a Facebook ad. You ever looked at something or typed something or even said a word, and all of a sudden that thing shows up in your Facebook feed? It's the same exact type of data that we use to help make sure we can match up buyers and sellers, backed by our awesome sales team. And so anyone you know, friend, relative, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma, if you like them, don't like them, especially during this holiday time, if you're sitting there having dinner, right, you need something to talk about, and they mention real estate, say, look, you got to call my buddy Blake Sloan, 843-808-SOLD. Go ahead, save me in your phone right now. And that's all I ask for the show, right? Hey, we hopefully give some data and some information that gives you value. All we ask is just share the show and share my information with them so that we can help them and make sure they're not a horror story for sure. We talked about many of those in the past. I see about 5 or 10 horror stories a week through other companies, but here's some awesome success stories. Very, very proud of these. Just a couple this week. Matt and Jackie recently made a decision to move back up north, be close to their family. They'd bought their home just a couple years ago and made a lot of improvements by adding a pool and the outdoor setup. Their concern was, though, they weren't sure if they'd be able to get their money out of the home they had put into it in such a short period of time that they own the house, right? A lot of people have that happen. They get stuck there. Thankfully, they heard about us on this radio station, decided to give us a call. We came in and shared exactly what we can do to get them top dollar for the home and get a return on their improvements and get the house sold quickly. I came in, we've done a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, the virtual reality walkthrough within just 2 days. We drove massive traffic, had Matt and Jackie multiple offers in their home, and drove the price up above where they initially thought they could get. Now they're able to move back up north, knowing they're able to put maximum equity in their pocket. That's one of those examples I was talking about in terms of finding buyers who will bid against each other and bid that price up. That's the perfect scenario. Also, Rhonda had always wanted to move out west and recently made the decision to do so. Her biggest concern, though, was getting absolute top dollar in this market so she could afford to buy the home she wanted out west. She also wanted to make the move quickly before it got cold out there. Thankfully, she was referred to Sloan by an amazing radio listener. We came in, shared with her exactly how to get top dollar, how to position the home, design a custom plan, launch our global marketing blitz, professional photos, the virtual reality walkthrough within just 1 week, drove massive traffic, had Rhonda a full price offer on her home. Now she's able to make that move with her family before the snow gets too rough to make that trip. And so if you want to be one of our success stories, reach out, give us a call, 843-808-SOLD. And so that's super important right now. And it goes back to how much difference you have. We have 3 minutes left. And here's one thing that I wanted to share with everyone in general. I get this question a lot about the holidays. Should we do something the holidays? Should we not do something the holidays? And we have so many people that are thinking about it. They always say, guess what? Wait till after the holidays. Wait till after the holidays. And that's one thing I just wanted to share overall is 2 reasons to put your home on the market during this holiday season. Now, it doesn't make sense initially, right? Because everyone thinks, oh, I got family coming in town. I don't want to be hassled. And so reality, though, you only have 2 days that you have a problem at this point on. We're talking about Christmas Eve, Christmas, and then maybe New Year's as well, right? And so here's the cool part. You don't have to show the property during that, but here's the psychology behind it. Guess what? The most emotional buy for anyone in their entire life tends to be the house, right? It's your purchase of your castle, your domain. It's where you raise your family. It's where things good happen, where things bad happen. It's an emotional purchase that anyone in the business sees this over and over and over again. That's a very emotional purchase. Now, on top of that, the second reason, guess what the most emotional time of the year is for anyone in most cases, right? The holidays. And so you add an emotional sale on top of an emotional time. You want to be able to show the property during that time because it's such an emotional sale. And so guess when your property shows the best? When it's decorated for the holidays, it has all the pieces up there. It feels like family, shows like family, and it allows them to be able to come in and be able to visualize their family in that situation for the next year. And that's how we sell so many properties during this thing. And the coolest part is you don't ever have to close during the holidays. You just make the closing date early January, February, and you beat the rush of all the buyers looking to come in when they're coming in the early first year. Because guess what? The majority of people say, wait till the first year. And here's the last part. The best, most really serious buyers come in during the holidays because they have to close by the end of the year. So if you want to know more about that, reach out, call me. Also, my fund is looking to buy properties at a fair price, close quickly. You can pay cash and close within 2 weeks. And so if you want to know more about that, or your friend or relative does, have them reach out and call me, 843-808-SOLD. We'll easily help you with that as well.
In Myrtle Beach, it's Gary LaBox, lead singer of Rascal Flatts. When Our Moving On won the award for ACM Song of the Year, it struck a chord with folks who understand the challenges that come with life's big changes. For many, that happens when it comes time to sell their home. If you're moving on, you want a real estate agent who will make selling your home easy and stress-free. An agent who's willing to let you out of the contract if you're not happy with their service. That's why in Myrtle Beach, I can tell you that Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group markets your home on a whole different